Today's Daf Nun. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Nun. High noon. So we left off 3 lines from the top. We were discussing a couple different takanas and usha. So Amar Rabbi Eloi, usha iskinu hamavazves al hiyavazves yasir b'chemesh. When he goes ahead and he gives charity, right, to poor people, he should not give more than 1/5 of his money. And Tanya similarly learn hamavazves al yivazves yasir b'chemesh. Person should not go ahead and give away more than 1/5. Shemit tzarich lebriyos. Person, perhaps he might give away too much of his money, and then all of a sudden he's going to be money he's not going to have, and he's going to have to need the support of others. And there was a Maisa that somebody wanted to go ahead and give even more than 1/5 of their money, and their friends did not allow them. And who was that? Rabbi Shaviv. Rather than some say Rabbi Shaviv, he wanted to go ahead and give away money, and his friend did not allow him. And who was that? Umanu, Rabbi Akiva. That was Rabbi Akiva. And Amarav Nachman b'Timur Rav Acha Bar Yaakov Ma'ikro. Where do we see this from? That the person should not go ahead and give away more than 1/5 of his money. Achol asher titein li aser asrenu lach. So it says over there, I think by Yaakov Avinu. So he says double lashon of aser asrenu lach, right? So a 10th, right? 2/10 is 1/5, right? What do you mean, right? If you, let's say you take out of 100, right? The first 1/10 of 100 is 10. And a 10th of then the remaining 90 is only 9. So that's it's not the same. It's not exactly a 5th, a little slightly less than a 5th. Some Ravashi, no, the double lashon means that the second 10th is like the same as the first, and therefore it's referring to 1/5. And Amar Rav Shimon bar Ashi says Rav Shimon bar Ashi v'shmos halu mis amatais v'halachos v'holchos. So these 3 takanas that we've mentioned until now, those there were Sakein and Usha, right? So each one is said by 1 less amora. No, the first one was said by 3 amoras, second one 2, and the first one 1. Right? If you go back, you see it. And the simanach, the way to remember it is which was katanim. The first one was the katanim. We had the first original takana, but if you find it somewhere in yesterday's blog, it says that one should takana that one should go ahead and support their children who are katanim. And if I could just find it, I don't know where it was, somewhere in yesterday's daf. All right, as Amar Aleph from a base. Right. So over there, right, it was said by 3 amoras. Right, So over there was Amar Rabbi Eloi, Amar Reish Lakish, Mishum Rabbi Yehuda Bar Chanina. So that was 3, right? So that was said by 3. And the next one was Kisvu. I think the next one was that if they wrote all their assets, then right over there it says Amar Rabbi Eloi, Amar Reish Lakish, right? Busha Iskinu Shakaisi Kanachasav. And over here it was only said by 1. Aviz Vizu was only referring to by 1. So 3, 2, 1 Amarim. And the way to remember how many is if you just remember Katanim, Kisvu, and Uviz Vizu. And Amar Rav Yitzchak Usha Iskinu, another takana, Shei Adam Nizgalgel in Beno Ad Shtei Mesrei Shana. You should go ahead and basically support and encourage his child to go ahead and learn until the age of 12, not force him. However, Mikan Veilach Yared Ibal Chayiv. Then over there you can start beating him and forcing him at the age of 12 to go ahead and be Lamei Torah. Saying, is this true? Marley Rav Lo Rav Shmuel Bar Shideis, but Sir Mi Bar Shis Lei Segado. If the child is less than 6, do not go ahead and accept him to the Cheder. Bar Shis Kabel. But if once he's 6, then you give him a Kabel. Then you go ahead and feed him like an ox, stuff him like an ox. So you see him there at the age of 6, not the age of 12. So in says now you can force feed him at the age of 6, right? However, you can't force it. That's only if he wants to go ahead and learn. Then you can keep stuffing him, keep teaching him. That's good for him. However, but you can't force him until the age of 12. I can say like Kasha.
What age?
Age of 6. 6, you can start teaching him a lot. At the age of 12, you can force him. Viboy same or the second teretz. Like Kasha Hala Mikra Mishnah. When it comes to Mikra, that's the age of 6. When it comes to Mikra, when it comes to Mishnah, that's the age of 12. Damar Abaye, the Abaye says, my mother told me Barshis Lamikra, age of 6, you start learning Mikra, Psukim. Bar Eser, the Mishnah, the age of 10, then it's Mishnah, Bar Tleisar, and by the age of 13, Tanisa Me'es Le'es. That's a full 24-hour cycle of a fast. And Tinukis Bas Tresar. But for a girl, her fast is not the age of 13, rather the age of 12. And Amar Abai Amar Liyim Hai Barshis Ditarka Le Akrava B'Yom Shis. So if you have a child on the day he was turning 6, that he gets bit by a scorpion, right? The Mishnah Shis Leichai. He should not. He can't live. So Mai has to say. So what type of remedy can you go ahead to fix it? So Marasa Didaya Chirusa B'Shikra. Go ahead and take some bile from a white vulture and mix that with, with beer and nashe, and smear some of the bile on, the wound area of the nashe, and let him drink the beer.
For my 6-year-old,
I guess on the day he turns 6, right?
It's 5.
Yeah, then you live on. It's something specifically with this date, and similarly, high bar.
Wait, less than 6 or 6?
It seems to be that the day he turns 6, but not less and not more.
Hebrew or English?
Yeah, saying good. So high bar shisa. The tarikli zibura. Similarly, I guess a child who's 6 and he gets stung by a bee or 1. Excuse me. No, high bar shesa. Shasa. Right. Oh, he's 1. Right. So he's 1. Right. Not shis. Right. Bar shasa. Right. 1 year. Right. The tarikli zibura. The yom of the mishlim shasa on the day that he turns his year. He won't survive. So how can you go ahead and sort of remedy the situation? So it says over there, Atzavsa the Dikla Bamaya, go ahead and take also some from a palm tree, I guess, and then the bark, whatever it is, and soak it in water, the Dikla Bamaya, and Ashve, then smear it on, I guess, the sting area of an Ashke, and make him drink some of that water. Fine. Amarav Katina Kalamachnis is Benali Pakas Ben Sheish. Rotz Acharav Ve'eno Magia. Someone goes ahead and he throws his son into cheder under the age of 6, right? Then if you run after him, you will not catch him. In other words, he won't be healthy. He's too young, and therefore he'll be sickly because he was forced into the Talmud Torah too early. So some say some say no, his friends who run after him because he started earlier at that start, and they won't be able to catch him in the studies. Right. So never. So we say both of them are true. Right. Both of them can be true. The first one could be that if he's weak, right. In other words, he will be weak, but he'll be learned. In other words, he'll be sickly. He'll be a sickly child, right, for his for many years. But he'll know how to learn. If he's weak, then don't go ahead and put him in under the age of 6. If he's a strong young child, then he can handle it from the age even under than 6. Then that's when his peers will be chasing him. And Amr Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina b'usha iskinu ha'isha shemachra b'nichsei malug b'chayei bala. So a woman, right? So she sold her nichsei malug, right? She brought it into the marriage, right? It was assessed at a certain amount. And then the husband eats the peiros, right? He's like a buyer when it comes to her. If she goes ahead and sells the property and then she dies, the husband can go ahead and take it away from the kaichas because he was a previous buyer than them, right? So therefore he can take it from their hands. So So what happened? So in this case, so he was, I guess, around a bunch of people at the Usha, right? So he's standing in a crowd in Usha, and Amrle man mar the Shmaitz at Usha. Who was the one who said this limud in Usha? Samarle. They said to him, Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina. It was Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina who says that if the woman sold a nichsei malug and then she died, then the husband can go ahead and remove it from the lekeichas because he was considered to be an earlier buyer than them. And Tana Minei Arbaim Sine, he chazed it 40 times. The Damile command the Manchale big sisa. It's like then you remember to someone put it in his pocket, right? What does it mean? Someone's put in his pocket, right? Once heard that, why does it say his pocket or his wallet, right? Say put it in like in a box, right? It's secured in a box. Because a person's always, checking for his wallet to make sure it's in his pocket. So to over here, right? The Chazar 40 times, and it was like it was so well remembered, this limud, that like a person leaves something in his pocket. Or not something, right? So Ashrei Shemrei Mishpat Aisa Tzedakah B'Chaleis. Right? Praise is he who's Shemrei Mishpat and does tzedakah at all times. Can a person do tzedakah at all times? So from this, some say Rabbi Eliezer, it's a person who supports his children when they're katanim, when they're minors, right? Such a person, it's not a chiyuv, certainly not a chiyuv deraisa, right? And therefore, perhaps takana. So therefore, it's like a person who's done tzedakah. And Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachmani Amar Zamegadol Yosef Yisayma B'Seich Beisav Umasiyah. That's a person who raises an orphan, orphans in his house, and male, female, and marries them off. There's a wealth in his house, and his righteousness will stand forever. So that's like a person who learns Torah and teaches. One the others say or one who writes a Torah Tanakh and then lends it out. So when you see your children have children, they will be Shalom Yisrael. Right? If you see your children will have children, then there is no need for Yibum because then they have children, and therefore that I guess Yibum and Chalitza could cause strife, and therefore there'll be Shalom Yisrael. If his children have children, there will be Yibum Chalitza. And Rosh Bar Nachmani Omar Kevan Shebani Levanecha Shalom Al Daina Yisrael L'Yasi L'Insuyi. Because if the children have children, then it's sort of a clear line as to who inherits who, and therefore there won't be any arguments when it comes to inheritance, and therefore there'll be Shalom Al Daina Yisrael amongst the judges of Israel. Fine. 2 dots. Bottom line. So we saw in yesterday's Mishnah that they were masakin by the Ksuvas ben Dichrin, right? That a woman, when she marries a man, she's going to bring some assets into the marriage, and she basically says, "Hey, when you die, that this land, right? This is what I'm providing, will go to our sons, right? It will not be inherited by your other sons if you had other wives or other children." Rather, my children will get this piece of land, so it'll stay in my family. That's practically different. So I'm just reading from the Mishnah. It says over there, they inherit the and the daughters will go ahead and get sustenance from such land. Fine. So that was the Mishnah. So let's see.
This land that she brings.
She brings it, right? So this is part of one of the Tanai Ksuvas ben Dichrin that. I'm bringing the land for my family, so therefore I expect that when you go ahead and die, that it will stay to my male children and it will not go split amongst all your other children. Fine. So top of the page, to the page. So yes, Rabbi Yosef coming to Rav Hamnuna. Yosef Rav Hamnuna become says Kashem Sheina Banim Yayishim Elamina Karka. Just like children or sons don't inherit, but only from land. Kachin Abanas Nizanas Elamina Karka. So too. Daughters, they're not sustained, but only from karka, because the two of them the takanas were together. So, however, everyone yelled, what I mean. So only if he leaves land do his children inherit, but they don't inherit movable assets. They don't inherit cash. They don't inherit items. So he says no. I mean, Rabbi Yosef, no, Dilma Ksuvas ben Dichrin, come on, no, he was referring to Ksuvas ben Dichrin, right? That which we say that the children go ahead, if there's enough land for them to go ahead and divide and take that land, so therefore they get back their land to her family, to her boys, and just like that, it's only taken from karka. In other words, the Ksuvas ben Dichrin is not calculated by movable objects, right? It's only land that goes to her children, but not the movable objects. That gets all divvied up amongst all of his children. So too, their mazonos only really comes from real estate, from land, from the non-movable land. and Amarle Mar Samar Degabra Rabahu Yadi Mai Kaminas. He says, yeah, Rav Yosef, right? So Rav Yosef. He said, such a person. He knew exactly what I was referring to. I wasn't referring to that. There is no, that the children don't, right? Yoresh, they don't inherit, move objects. It means that just like this takana was said, it's only on real estate, it's only on real property. So too, the daughters, when they get supported as young orphans, also it does not come from movable objects, comes from real estate. And Abraham Chia Bar Yosef, Rav Zon Mechiti Dalia. It says Rav Chia Bar Yosef, Rav would go ahead and give, I guess, the female orphans from the wheat of the Aliyah. So what does this mean? So Iboilu Parnasa Havi. Was this the Parnasa? Now, Parnasa over here is referring to, as Rashi points out, Parnasa, I'm sure Rashi, Parnasa is Linase Vayugavim Metalti. In other words, when a father, right, one of the things that he does is after, when he marries a woman and then he has the daughters, he puts away some money on the side for a dowry for his daughters. Favorable, remember to put your phone on mute, right? And so it finds a favorable match for his daughter. So therefore, he'll put money aside in a dowry for her. But the guy died first. Mm-hmm. So maybe it means over here that which Rav put money, right, collected money for the daughters, is referring to wheat, all right. He was trying to put away money for the dowry, right? Malios Dav, right? It was Malios Dav who could have Shmuel, and it would be like Shmuel, Damar Shmuel, the Parnasa Shem Biav, right? When it comes to the Parnasa from putting money aside for the dowry, we evaluate as to the generosity of the father, how much he would have put aside for the dowry of his daughter. So over here, maybe that's what it was referring to. It wasn't referring to that he was taking parnasa from wheat. Excuse me. It wasn't referring to that he was taking mazonos, right, daily sustenance from the wheat. Rather, he took money, when the guy died, from the estate as a future dowry. Odilma. Mizoni. That promises the. Well, he. Well,
they use the same word.
Right. So the dowry, I guess, that part of it is that he promises a dowry to her children, to her daughters. That's one of the stipulations of the ksuba, is that he'll, create a dowry for that. We say, Dilma, or perhaps maybe it means mezayne mamash havi. Maybe it was mamash he was taken from the chiti of the Ilya. All right, and now and therefore chiti Dilma mezayne mamash havi my Aliyah. Right? And what does it mean that he took chiti from the Aliyah? It means the great things that were said in the Aliyah, in the Aliyah, in the attic, he's banas with it over there. They were masakein, that banas nizanis min hamataltlin, that even daughters can collect not just from real property, not just from land, but even movable objects. So which one was it? He was taking money from movable objects for the daughters. Was it for their parnasa, their dowry, their dunya? Or was it for their mazonos? So Tashma, come listen. Biyad the Rabbi Banai Achbe the Rabbi Chia Bar Abba. So Rabbi Banai, who was the brother of Rabbi Chia Bar Abba, having metaltlin the Yasmi Osla Kamei. So he had movable objects come before him from the orphans before the Kamei the Shmuel and Amarle Zil Zon, right? So he says, go ahead and support them. Samai la l'mizayne is not the means that he means take these movable objects and support them. Because Rav Yitzchak Bar Yosef, Svirle, also Rav Yitzchak Bar Yosef, that you can even support from a taltlin. So go to flex says low, hustle the parnasa avi Shmuel Tami over there. Maybe no, it was referring to the parnasas, we're referring to the dowry. And Shmuel goes l'shitasa damar Shmuel the parnasa shamin ba'av. Right? We can go ahead and evaluate how much the father would have given on his own. Fine. Havi uvda ben Hardia. There was a mice in the Hardia of a dun, done in the Hardia. So there's a mice in the Hardia, and they ruled like they did in the Hardia. In other words, they went ahead and supported from the mazonas from the talzim, from movable objects, and from Badisa. And then from Badisa also there's similar Maisa. The Agde Rav Chana Bar Bistan, he also collected from the Metaltlin to go ahead and give mazonas to the orphan girls. So Amarlu Rav Nachman. Zilu ahaju, go ahead and return. The girls got to pay it back. You got to pay it back, right? You're lucky we're not giving you a penalty. The girls got to go ahead and pay the back to the metaltlin. It wasn't their right to go ahead and take it from the movable objects. below, and if you don't order the girls to return it, to take it, to give it back, because they took it from movable objects, not from land, then I'm going to go ahead and seize your houses and sell them and return it to the heirs of the guy who died, to reimburse them for paying for his daughter's sustenance. And similarly, Rabbi Ami Ravasi,
It's a requirement.
it's a requirement, but only for movable land. Not so. The machlokas over here is whether it comes from metaltalin or only karka. So the mazonos, the ksuba is taken from it says to support them. So we assume it's only from karka. So there's a shaila of what about movable objects? If he moves over movable objects, can they be supported from that? Right? Because when it comes to land, you don't take away from the keren, right? The movable objects, you're losing the keren itself, the principle, gets diminished, after over time.
That's not the way it is now. Nowadays, we say you can even take from the taltal.
Oh, so so that's goofy what this is talking about. This the machlokas over here, right? So they ruled that you could collect from there, and then he came back and says, "No, you guys." Rav Nachman says you guys are wrong. And Rav Ami, Rav Asi, several mizam and metaltalin, they also held to go ahead and pay the mazanos of metaltalin. And Amalu Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi says Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi says most of the Rabbi Yechon Beishlakish Avdi, but Uvda Asun Avdi, but Uvda, right? Something that Beishlakish and Rabbi Yechon never did, but you guys do it. And Rabbi Elazar several mizam and metaltalin. Rabbi Elazar thought to go ahead and support orphan girls from movable objects. Someone for Rabbi Shimon ben Eliakim, Rabbi Yedei Ani B'Chosh Ein Midas Hadin Ata Oiser. I know that you're not going to act in halacha. Elamidas Rachmanias, rather you're acting mercifully. You don't make right then. You don't. They shouldn't really get it right. Really, you have mercy upon these girls, and that's why you're supporting. Perhaps people are going to see you do this, and they're going to think this is the halacha for generations. And I would ask the coming to Rav Yosef, go ahead and give from the dates that are on the mat and the movable objects. Well, what do you mean? If there's a balchov, a person owes someone money, right? He's allowed to go ahead and take his, to take from metaltalin, right? So, from stuff that was sold, the ones that are attached to the tree, right? The ones that are attached to the tree, they're still mechubar, so different. They're like karka. So he says, but anything that's going to need to be cut is, anything is set that fit to be cut is considered to be cut off. So it's like metaltalin. So Gemara says, no, the the ones that still need the right to grow on the trees. Therefore, since they still need the tree, those are like karka, and therefore, because those are like karka, therefore you can go ahead and for sure, l'kuliyama, go ahead and support the banos with that. All right, we'll stop here at the two dots. Have a wonderful day, and Mitzvah Hashem tomorrow. Pick up